What's up, deal makers? This was Ask Alex number 73, and we had an extra special guest on this week. He's a project manager that's handling over 50 projects a year. His name is Daniel Juarez, and he was bringing some big tips and tricks. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways, man?
And it was a fantastic webinar. I think you guys just need to watch it because there was so much gold that Daniel gave you that I just can't repeat it in this quick intro. But we learned systems. We learned about negotiating with contractors. We learned about some of the lessons he's learned rehabbing so many properties. So check it out. What's everybody up to? You guys putting some deals together. Today is going to be Daniel Juarez interview. You guys are going to see from a master rehabber how to rehab property, guys. I'm so excited for you. Trust me. Make sure you have your rehab questions ready for Daniel. I have a bunch of questions. Rehab has not been my specialty. I can't say it's my strength. It is really challenging to manage a lot of rehabs at once and to get them done on time and under budget. These are very difficult things to guys. So I'm excited. Will is in another prior commitment he couldn't rearrange, so it'd just be me and Daniel until Will jumps on. Make sure you guys are using the chat feature so that you can network with each other. There's people that are doing deals here, people getting started, so make sure that you guys are always connecting there. Give me 1 second, guys, and just gonna bring up my notes, and we're gonna get started pretty quickly here. I just want to give you guys an update, kind of what's going on with us here at Alex Camacho Buys Houses at our company. A lot of exciting things. I'm back in LA. I've been here for probably about 10 days now, and been just in front of a computer in meetings, analyzing more deals, getting another property to the finish line. So it's been jam-packed. So today is no different. I've been working all morning, and it's just that LA grind, right? When I'm in Hawaii, the pace of the city affects you, right? You just a little bit more chill. When I'm in Guadalajara, things there are also pretty fast-paced, but they're also kind of family-oriented, chill. It's not necessarily all about work like it is in Los Angeles. So anyways, I've been spending time with family, just kind of seeing my mom and dad, seeing my twin brother, seeing some of my friends, just making sure that I catch up with people that I don't get to see as often, not living full-time in LA yet. So it's been a great week. We've been talking to a lot of private money lenders about some of the upcoming deals that we have. We've been talking, reaching out to people. We're getting very close on closing on our 18-unit acquisition in Phoenix. So super exciting for that. I will be in Phoenix for 2 to 3 weeks once we close the property. I think that'd be the second, third week of May, just to make sure that the project is a success. We get the right project manager for getting everything going. We're going to be rehabbing the exterior. We're going to be doing a lot to the vacant units. So it's going to be amazing, guys. And then also we've closed a couple of flips. So we finished them off. They both were profitable. So that was really cool to get those to the finish line. Seeing properties close, remember, these are 3, 4, 5, 6 month projects. And, the faster we can get these things closed, the better. And then we also, last week, Will and I went to the Antelope Valley, and we did a lot of filming for some future content stuff. And it was a grind because we're still having to, manage the other deals that we're working on. At the same time, we're, having to do this content that's not easy. You got to take multiple takes on the different, valuable videos that you want to share. And so it really was a grinding day, and driving all the way an hour each way. It was crazy, but we got it done. What I do want to say though, guys, is this week, if you're in Southern California, make sure you attend our downtown LA meetup. We're having that on Friday, which is 2 days from now. So make sure that you guys come. It's 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. The valet, there's valet for the parking situation. That we're going to have free tacos, and we're also going to have some giveaways. Make sure you guys attend. There's usually over 100 people, 150 people that attend, actually closer to 200 that attended the last one. So for me, it's not about the numbers, more about the quality of people coming to really connect, not just like, hey, what can I get? Who can I learn from? But also, what do you have to offer? And come and connect with other people that are like-minded. So we'll see you guys who can make it there. People have been asking me about the Mexico Mastermind that's scheduled for June. It is you know, it is one of those things. You do have to qualify. You do have to have at least, you know, a deal or two under your belt, doing some active investing. You know, it is for people that want to kind of get to that next level, and be around other people, and then get a network of people that are definitely taking action and doing some of the things that you want to do in your life. I mean, that's in a magical location. So reach out to us if you have any questions about the details, the itinerary. We have that down now. See what else. That's it. Oh, one last thing, guys. We are closing on another property in Maui. So shout out to Going to Masterminds, because I got it from somebody that saw me at a mastermind. We met. He had a friend that had a deal locked up in Maui. We ended up going ahead and buying that deal off that, you know, that other contact that we got, that we wouldn't have got if we didn't go to that mastermind in Vegas with Ryan. So let me bring on Daniel, and then we can all just talk to him about rehab. I have a bunch of questions for him. Give me one moment, guys, here while I promote him to the panelists. But are you guys excited? Make sure that you have your questions ready. I'm gonna give my Daniel on here. So Daniel is an investor. He's in Vegas. He's actively working on, I hate to take a shine, but 7 of his own deals. And he's also actively managing another close to 50 properties for Ryan Pineda's team and Ryan Pineda's company. So, I mean, this guy is an absolute stud. Thank you for your time, Daniel, for giving us some of your wisdom that you've learned with managing so many projects, my man.
Hey, Alex, how's it going, man? And thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Are you in one of your flips right now or no?
Yeah, I am. I'm in one that's complete.
I love you. See you guys always working, either at a project or in the office working on a project, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, like, as I mentioned, guys, Daniel's an investor. He's gonna kind of tell his story, just give us some feedback. How did you get started, Daniel, in the business? Give us a quick rundown for some of the people that might not know how you got in.
Okay, so my start was kind of by accident. I was looking to purchase my first property when I got married, and I told my lender, hey, I want to start flipping houses. At the time, I was working at a restaurant here on the Strip, and she said, you don't have the money to do that. She said, why don't you buy a fourplex? She said, it'll help you save money. This way, you're living in one for free. The other 3 are paying for your mortgage. She knew what she was talking about. She presented me the numbers, and that was my introduction into it. And that led to me then looking into learning more. I was like, hey, well, I need to learn more. I want to be able to do this. I knew I wanted to get involved into real estate. I just didn't know how, so I just jumped into it. And from there, one thing led to another. I became a lender in 2018. And then late 2018, I contacted from networking. I met Ryan Pineda, and I told him I wanted to learn how to do what he was doing. I was wholesaling on my own before that while I was a lender. Didn't do much with that. I think we closed like 3 or 4 deals. It was me and a friend. And then Ryan was like, hey man, I'm starting my own operation. If you want to join, let me know. I said, yeah, man. I mean, I knew his reputation, what he was doing. And then I started off by doing acquisitions for him. And when I came to him, I told him my intent was to flip. So he gave me the opportunity to start buying some of the properties that he was wholesaling out. He saw that I was able to manage them on my own while still doing everything else that I was doing. I still held my mortgage license, so I was still doing loans. I was still doing acquisitions for him, and I was working a server job at the Strip. So he was like, if you want, you can do project management for me. And it's crazy how it all fell into place, because I started managing properties for Ryan in February of 2020, and then March 2020 everything closed down. So it was like God pretty much pulled me out of the restaurants to put me on to manage Ryan's flips, because nobody else was working. March 2020, all of Vegas shut down, but Ryan was like, no, we're not going to shut down. We're going to keep going. So that kind of, that was like literally a lifeboat that was sent my way by being on Ryan's team and being able to do that. So yeah, now I'm doing all of Ryan's, I'm managing all of his flips, and he does allow me the opportunity to also take on my own flips as well.
Awesome, man. I love that story, man. So much to unpack there about like how you first got introduced of the idea of using real estate to benefit your life and to, improve your financial situation. We get those lucky breaks, but you were, there qualified, right, to get a mortgage and open to the idea. And then I'm sure you executed that transaction. And then therefore like, hey, this works. And I've heard that from people in the past too, right? Because you have to pay, as simple and obvious as that sounds, right? You have to pay attention and be present to see opportunity and not just be there like expecting it's going to fall in your lap. And that they say the lucky favors the prepared. And so
Correct.
we'll start there, and then looking for more information, but not just letting it stop there, but like, you know what, no, I want to do this. This is something I want to do. This worked out. Let me find someone, finding that mentor, going on and doing what you could to work with him. And then I remember because he described on his side, because I know Ryan and I met him a couple of years ago, right? And he described your evolution in the role that you play in his organization. And so I kind of from afar, I've been seeing your growth and your changes, and definitely respect you for the path that you've taken, because I see the growth. And I also was around that time, like if I had not been in, it had the influence of Ryan around that time, I might have also kind of been conservative, right, and held back, and not bought property, and not taking advantage of some of these opportunities that were really there, that I knew were opportunities because of having paid my dues and working for other investors and understanding the business and all that. So I think that's super respectful, because it's difficult. I remember we talked about this in Vegas at the mastermind, right?
Yeah.
You and I were having a real kind of like one-on-one, heart to heart. We're at the cool bar, everybody's connecting, and then we were talking about that part of it, of how it played a role in my career of working for other investors, learning the nuts and bolts from them, paying the price, really making them a lot of money, but in turn also learning some super valuable skills, mindsets, resources. The list goes on. So
Correct.
I think that's something where we definitely kind of resonate together on, and we've talked several times and kind of stay connected because of that. So talking about that, like, how's that been for you a little bit? Because I think that was something we did want to kind of touch on, your kind of evolution and kind of what you see yourself and kind of what maybe the future kind of holds for you, if you want to share that.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's the way I've always seen it, and something that I think has helped me to be able to continue on this path is I don't see it as a job, me project managing for Ryan. I took it on with the intent to learn as much as possible. So I see it as I'm getting paid to learn. And I mean, I'm extremely blessed to be in the position, and that Ryan put faith in me, because I had no project managing experience. I had no construction experience. He saw something in me that I didn't see, and he said, "Hey, let's give this guy a chance." This is when he was restructuring his company based on like personality types, and he saw that I was a good fit for that. And yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely a lot to take on, but I mean, that's my approach to it all. Is I still feel like even though I'm doing my own flips, I'm still in the apprentice stage, because I am managing flips for a big time investor here in Vegas, and somebody that I think I can continue to learn for as long as I'm with him.
Yeah, excellent. And that was, I think, part of what we talked about heavily on was the fact that the people that I work with, Daniel, frankly, I had kind of outgrew the role. The role that they had set for me was, in their eyes, this is what it was. I grew past that, and I've showed that with the numbers of my acquisitions and my attitude and everything that I brought to the table.
Yeah.
And therefore, I had to kind of move on because I had to reach a ceiling. And I mean, I don't think anybody should ever accept a ceiling except, if they're gonna put it on themselves. Like, I'm not gonna let anybody else's ceiling and kind of like dictate whether that's my reality, right? And so I think that's where, like, you're all, I definitely think you are making a wise decision and continue to do so, as long as that's the case, where you're working with somebody, and then your growth, you're growing with them, and you continue to learn and expand and all that. It's once that stops is where you have to reevaluate and say, hey, is this still the best role or fit, or do I still want this? So good for you, man. I did want to kind of switch it on to like talking a little bit more about like the systems, right? Some of the systems that you've kind of now kind of noticed have worked, and maybe if it's a system for like managing 3 to 5 rehabs or 10, 5 to 10 rehabs. I think as we've also scaled and we're working on over 20 transactions and over 15 or so rehabs, we've also had to do that. But I know you're even a higher scale, but it's not a system that I'm too familiar with. I just try to, get great deals and then let the team kind of handle that. So what systems can you say are simple systems that, maybe some of the, audience, you can kind of give tips and tricks on that side of things?
Well, the systems that Ryan had in place, obviously, Ryan's great with systems.
Yeah.
The ones he implemented, all I've been doing is pretty much using those and trying to, the way I see it is there's never going to be an easy day with project management. Every day brings new things, there's always fires to be putting out. And everything that can go wrong typically will go wrong with a property. It's very minimal the times that it's easy. You just put it into the system and it flows right out onto the sales table.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, obviously there's a couple of factors that come into the rehab. Once you acquire the property, you go ahead. The main thing is, I think, having the correct people to help you out. If you don't have reliable people, nothing ever is going to happen. So you have to have a solid team, knowing who to give these properties to. So having the right contractors, the right subs, knowing who's going to be too pricey or who you can give, because obviously you can't be choosing or you can't be giving a certain contractor all the properties because he's going to give you the best pricing. You're going to overwhelm him. So then you have to take into account, hey, well, yeah, I can have this certain company or GC take on this flip. I know that they're not going to give me the cheapest prices. They're going to be fair, but they're going to get the job done. And a lot of times I think that's something that people struggle with is I can get it done cheaper. Yeah, you can, but is it going to be worth you holding on to it or becoming a headache because you decided to get a cheaper guy, So, and then as far as like tips to help you do that when you're starting out, you got to start building relationships with these people, with these contractors. You can't, me personally, it's obviously business. So money is the main priority for both parties. And where there's money, I think there has to be a fine line between how much trust you give to the other person. You still got to stay on top of them, no matter how long you've been working with them, because things happen, and if you don't stay on top of them, they're going to start either letting off the gas and saying, hey, well, I can take a little longer on this guy's property. He's going to keep giving me houses. I still have these expectations that I need that obviously Ryan's holding me accountable to, timeline, budget. So as far as that goes, is pretty much just knowing who to give the properties to. And one thing that I still struggle with now is sometimes you tell yourself, hey, well, I can get somebody to do it for cheaper. So even I fall into that. And with as many properties as I have going on, for Ryan, we have in total around I think 40, 45, I forget. I know in rehab for sure 30, but then you've got all the ones with repair requests and then the ones that are on the market that I still have to be looking out for.
Yeah.
But with that much volume, it is hard to have a lot of people, because I have to be on the phone 24/7 delegating. That's the thing. You got to know who to delegate things to and having the reliable people to help you do that.
Yeah, definitely. And so, a big part of what I'm hearing is just like having the people around you, like almost like this like rehab ecosystem, right? Of people that you could lean on for a variety of things. And so you're managing a lot of subs and GCs then, I imagine, with that many flips.
Correct. Yes, it's definitely a mix of both. With volume, it's always going to be easier to have a GC on each project, because if not, you're going to be on the phone all day long if you're managing subs. Subs, obviously, they need more direction because there's no GC that you give all the information to, and then they delegate everything that needs to be done. Whenever I do hire subs, I then become the GC for these projects, and then that does eat up a lot of my time. So I have to be very try to be as efficient as possible as well, because I know I can't be everywhere.
Yeah, of course. And then, like, I know you get a lot of people to ask you questions, right? Of like, oh, how do you do this, and how do you do that with rehab? What would you say, like, maybe some of the top questions that you get that you think that it's something kind of reoccurring? Because people always ask us, like, how do you get deals? So what is that question for like a rehab expert?
It would be, how do you come up with the rehab budget? Or what does it cost,
Mhm.
And what I've noticed is, since I have so many crews that send over their bids, I pretty much just analyze each bill and see what everybody's charging. And then I now know, going into each project when I'm walking it, depending on what we have to do, off the top of my head, I can tell you already, like, we're going to be paying this much for every little thing, for flooring, for paint, for cabinetry, fixtures, all that. So putting together the rehab budget is, I think, what it seems like people struggle with the most.
Yeah, I agree. That's something that's like a common question of like, how do you come up with the rehab budget? Well, they have to ask themselves, like, how much they know about labor costs and how much material costs, because there's really
Correct.
only a couple components, right? And so it's not rocket science either. It's, hey, look at this is what's going on. Those are also moving targets, right? They end up changing. Sometimes materials, I mean, you see the wood went up like crazy during pandemic and stuff, and then like labor's, like, it depends also on your market. Like sometimes there's a lot of labor, but in Hawaii, like there's not a lot of labor. It's very expensive, or they're very delayed. We had actually flying a crew to like rehab the property we had in Maui, because we had to fire 2 GCs. Yeah, bro, it's been a behemoth, but the market's been very good to us on that house. So
yeah. Luckily, that's what I see too. I mean, there's a lot of forgiveness for error in this market.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Well, I know there were some like lessons that you've learned throughout the time that you've kind of been doing rehab, and kind of evolved and whatnot. Is there any lessons kind of jump out at you that you'd like to kind of share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty. It's the biggest one. I remember I used to like structure in my life, like getting up and doing certain things before getting to work. So I think the biggest thing that being in this position is, you have to be very open to not having structure, because some days I'm getting calls as early as like 6:30 in the morning. Some days I won't get calls till like noon, and if I gotta attend things early in the morning, that takes away from my morning routine or things that I wanted to get done beforehand. So that would be one of them. The other is construction. I mean, managing construction. And I'm pretty sure this is something you guys probably run into, anybody doing any sort of rehab. If you don't set clear expectations, there is no expectations. The GC will think that whatever their best, their best idea for how things should be, they're going to go with that. And a lot of times GCs don't have they may know how to do the skill, but not to be able to give it proper flow or little details, that the market is looking for. So always setting clear expectations with your crews, making sure that they know exactly what you want and how you want it. Clear expectations as far as timeline. That's still one of the biggest things that I have to constantly be on the phone for, is making sure that they know that, that there's a timeline that we have to stick to. It's not a property that when we do these flips, time is of the essence. We can't be holding on to them forever. What else?
And
What
I
else?
mean, that part of it, I'm kind of curious, like, how do you communicate that? Like, or is that vary per person because everybody kind of communicates a little bit differently? Or do you have kind of a standard like thing that you say and that you kind of repeat when you're talking about like this is a timeline?
Um, I mean, I typically uh, just like when you go see your property and you see the condition that it's in, after doing a couple of houses, you typically already know, hey, well, this should take a month or 2 months based on the rehab budget. Kind of like what Ryan set the rule of thumb at. For every 1,000 that you put into the property, it's about a day's worth of work. That's the same guideline that I go by. Obviously, if it's a rehab here in Vegas that is 60,000 on a 1,200 square foot house, they're going to be doing pretty much redoing everything, exterior, interior. So I know then, hey, it is a lot of work. There's a lot of labor involved. So it's not going to just be 60 days. It might go closer to the 3-month mark, but if it's a 60,000 cosmetic rehab, then yes, that should be around the 60-day mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that how like some of the formulas we've used that formula as well, similar where it's not, it doesn't like scale up or down, but it just gives you a little bit of like a North Star, something for you. Okay, this is what you should be targeting, but it don't just stick to it like it's just like law either. Like there's other things that can influence those numbers, but use that kind of as a rule of thumb. So that's cool. So a couple lessons there. Any tips on like negotiating or do you bid things out to multiple? Do you still do things all three on every project? You bid it out to multiple GCs, or how do you kind of treat that? I'm wondering at scale.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
No, so with mine, what I do is, like I said, after doing so many, I already know what GC is fit for each job. So if I were to be doing 3 bids per property, I would be wasting a lot of time. So now I just know, hey, this is a property that this GC is going to be good for. This is a property that this guy won't be able to do, even though the price might be right for him. So that's something that I've actually struggled, or not struggled, but have to keep in mind, because since some crews are cheaper than others, I always try to make sure that I'm creating the rehab budget based on the right price and not trying to make it work for a certain crew. Because then if I do, then that's when you're going to start going over budget, because you're thinking, hey, if I get this guy who I know will make it happen and work with the budget that we need, and if he can't get to it because he's busy on another property, then I'm screwed, because now I'm going to be going over a budget because I designed the rehab bid for that specific contractor.
Oh, okay. That's a nice trick there to kind of okay, not overly commit either though to like just using one specific one, but more of like what's the budget for this property and having a couple backups there potentially. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Was any other I know we have a lot, the people are attending, really they're looking to learn as much as possible about the rehab kind of process and kind of the things that happen. And I remember for me, it was very difficult to understand like the order of things.
Okay.
Not difficult like where I was completely lost, but just like where do things go? Like, can you shed any light on that? Because I think for me that's like valuable. Like, hey, what are like the first 5 or 7 things that typically you start with on a rehab, assuming it's like a cosmetic rehab, not like a complete tear down or one of those properties that are extensive rehabs? Because we usually also recommend people start with stuff that's a little bit more easier to not mess up.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, typically if like, let's say for instance, I'm going to sub things out. You're the one in control of bringing in the crews in at the proper time. Obviously if you're going to tear out anything that you have to tear out, that's part of the demo stage. So if you're taking out countertops, carpet, all the fixtures, obviously you want to do all that beforehand. So I'd say demo all the roughing for electrical and plumbing is the second step. And then drywall repair and paint. I mean, all the drywall work. And then your finishes, that's when everybody can come in. I've seen a lot on like real estate forums. There's a big debate on what goes in first, flooring or paint. GCs typically like to paint last because they don't want to have to send anybody back to do any touch-ups. They'll just paint after everybody has scuffed everything that they're going to be scuffing. So paint typically, I do notice that a lot of, when it is a GC, they'll do the painting last. But if it's a sub, I'll try to have them paint first, just because if you're giving guys one job, like one specific labor, one thing, they're going to be careful. They're going to know, hey, I can't go in, and it's like the carpet typically goes in last. Everything's already in, you know. The installers for the carpet, they're not going to go in and mess up the walls and stuff. They're going to try to be careful. So yeah, I mean, I think just like that. So demo, rough-ins, drywall paints, and then all the finishes such as hardware and light fixtures.
Okay, and the exterior, like landscaping, all that, is that kind of running concurrently, or how do you guys do that?
Another thing, yeah, touching on that. So some trades don't like to do work while others are there. So what I've learned is that landscaping, you typically want to leave till the last thing, because the plumbers don't want to be there, the electricians don't want to be there, just because they don't want to get in each other's way. So landscaping, we leave towards the end, everything on the exterior towards the end. But one thing I can say is, do not have the properties with a mess in the exterior, especially the front, because then that's how neighbors start getting mad, start drawing attention to your property. So that and dumpsters, we try to not leave dumpsters on the property. We tell them, hey, store all the garbage in the garage or in the back. So
and do you do that on all the properties? Because we also do that. I mean, you know, that's just kind of one of those things, right, where we don't want to draw extra attention to the property more than we need to during the rehab process, because, you know, just neighbors and potential involvement and all that, you know, stuff.
Yeah, exactly the same way. I mean, I tell all our GCs, like, hey, limit the days that you have a dumpster on the property. Try to stuff everything in the garage. So this way it's and same thing. I mean, you don't want to be paying for a dumpster and then the neighbors coming in and filling it up. You know, so keeping the front.
You've had that happen?
Oh yeah, multiple times. Multiple times. The GCs will call me and they'll be like, "Hey, this," or the we'll get charged, I think, over, because it's over full. It's past the limit that they allow, you know, because there's mattresses or things like that. So yeah.
And keep in mind, everybody that's watching, is that we typically rehab a lot of houses that are in just working class, you know, areas in the hood, sometimes in certain areas, and, you know, people there, they'll do that. So
yes, I mean, and it happens anywhere. You know, I had a dispute with a neighbor. He called me. It was our crew dumping into his dumpster, and I was like, why would we be doing that, you know? So and they did it on accident. It wasn't something that was deliberate, because we have two properties in the same neighborhood, and we were having them take trash from one property down the street to the other, and there happened to be a dumpster on the way to that house, to our house. So I had to meet with the guy and pay for his dumpster because of that. I just didn't want problems with the neighbors there, and he was part of the HOA. So
wow.
Yeah, dumpsters can become an issue.
Yeah, bet you guys get those dumpster lessons there, guys, because that they can set some alarms off. That's cool. And then also any other, maybe other. Oh, wait, actually, I think we have some questions here. You make sure you guys use the questions feature. I see in the chat. Somebody, since you started doing acquisitions, what is the transition like to become a project manager? Yeah, I think that's a great question.
I'm honestly, I don't like doing sales, but I put myself through it because, and I'm grateful that I did, because it taught me a lot of also negotiating with the crews. So it taught me how to handle people better than if I was just gonna go head to head with these guys. Sometimes, you know, that obviously won't solve anything. So all the training that Ryan put me through for acquisitions definitely is helping on the project management aspect, because you got to be managing people, you got to be negotiating pricing. So it wasn't a they're two very different fields, but my personality is more fit for project management. I'm more of like multitasking and just being out and about. Acquisitions is more sales. My mind is, I was a food server for a couple of years before doing that, and I didn't enjoy it. So I knew I wasn't going to like acquisitions either.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think you have to kind of understand that there's certain roles that are just better for you because of your personality, and you're gonna actually excel on those areas compared like me. I would like be the worst project manager, because I just don't like construction, and I don't like having to babysit, people. Like I hate that. But all my team knows, like, hey, like bug me for the stuff that's very, very important, that's gonna move the needle forward. I don't care about the color of the countertops. Like that's like not something I want to be deciding on. And
Yeah.
and I understand that about myself, because when I'm in those situations where I did have to do that, it drained my energy. And I'm sure people, on this call have heard just, this idea of like, and I think I've excelled in my life personally because I've known myself better and like accepted like my weaknesses and said, no, these are my strengths. I'm gonna just double down on this, or I'm, naturally I gravitate towards this more than other things. So let me, like this works, this energizes me. Like I was just talking and training some of my mentees, and they're watching me kind of analyze some deals with the team, and I'm like, yeah, I love this. This is like, we're putting these deals together, and then I'm like, half an hour later, I'm going through an Excel spreadsheet, for a CapEx budget for the Arizona multifamily, and I'm just like, oh my God, I want to shoot myself. Like it's just like it's so heavy for me. As is it like I think Brandon Turner uses that analogy, just it doesn't feel heavy or light. And so there's, however you want to describe it, it just, there are roles for you that you will be able to become great at, but you need to understand your personality and what your skill sets and how those fit into those roles within real estate investing. So that way you can maximize your potential with that, rather than like, oh, let me just do acquisitions. Because I'm not a fan of just like kind of double down on something because you want to, but like if you're not naturally talented in an area, it can happen. But I think it's just kind of like taking a path that's like really there's a lot of resistance and friction that you don't need. But good, I'm glad we're talking about that. Is there, I think also just give credit Ryan about that, even though I was already like that, is that just being so aware of your team's skills and what their best roles might be has also been a game changer for our organization, because the minute we put people into the position that best fits their personality, they just naturally do much, much better. They're more engaged, and then they're just more productive, and then and more synergistic with the other people on the team. It's crazy how that works. It compounds, and I'm sure you've experienced that too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sales exactly the same as you. Like I felt the weight, it would give me anxiety. It was something that I would have to force. And then with this, I mean, I've always had a passion for like the interior of houses, like for the aesthetic, So I'm literally doing. I feel like it's a dream job for me, being able to do this, and then also being able to do it for myself.
Yeah. Awesome, bro. Awesome. So how are your 7 rehabs going? And then I noticed you had kind of we talked offline before this, that you had kind of a variety. You have some high-end flips now going. You're also doing some like lower, like mobile homes. So you expand into the high-end flips, and why? And you can tell us what you're working on there.
Correct. So yeah, pretty much going back to that, I mean, I decided to jump into luxury properties myself. At the moment, I have 4 luxury properties that I'm working on for myself. And these require a lot of detail, a lot of attention. It's not like a cookie cutter home that you can just go in and hand over the contractor guide and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do to this house, and that's it. No, you got to think of every little thing. Every room, has detail that has to go into it. So that's why I jumped into luxury. And also the spreads are a lot bigger. There's more as much of a headache as it is, there's bigger return. And then, so I have 7 deals. 4 of those are luxury properties. I have 2 condos and a mobile home. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I love condos. They've been some of my best like deals. They just, you don't have to do exterior. If you get a good deal on
yeah,
it, they're quick and they're pretty simple.
exactly. Yeah, I love those too.
Cool, man. Where is there some other stuff that you wanted? I know we still have a little bit of time left. Anything else that you wanted to share? I know we talked some systems, some lessons, like some tips. Kind of like, I know we also talked about maybe diving into one of your deals and the numbers, how you got it, as well. One of the deals that you potentially working on, or already worked on, that maybe had is particularly something that kind of stands out.
I mean, is there any other questions? I don't know if I've touched on everything. There's, like I said, there's so much that goes into it, into project management. As far as the management aspect is, one thing that you got to be on the phone. Like you gotta, if you don't want to be everywhere, because you can't be everywhere, is learning to rely on people as well. Trusting that they're gonna do what you're asking them to do. So going back to that, making sure that you have a reliable team to help you get all these things done, because you can't do everything on your own.
Yeah. And so who's part of your reliable team then? I guess that's my next question to you.
So I don't manage all these projects for Ryan on my own. I also have 2 other guys. Percy, which is Ryan's dad, he pretty much does all the like onboarding for these rehabs. So once he gets keys, he rekeys all the properties, puts a lockbox. So then this way, once that's done, he tells me, hey, this property is rekeyed. You can now go get it started. And then if he has a chance to, he'll drive around and check in on these projects. And then I have another like project manager that works alongside with me. He's pretty much my eyes. So he goes out and he checks progress on every property, and he lets me know, hey, this is where this one's at. This one's not moving. You need to contact the contractors and see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty solid crew. It's 3 of us, like I said, and then we do have some in-house guys, even though they're not employees of the company. They pretty much only do work for the company, which are our electricians, plumbers, and our landscapers. We give them continuous work, and for that reason, they only do work for us. So having those people on board helps a lot, because if there's an issue with one property, I just have to call whichever trade it is that needs to get over to the project, and they'll get to it same day. I don't have to be waiting for a GC to have one of his subs go fill in whatever day of the week that they are available,
Oh, sweet. No, thank you for the description. And, because as you can see that you're not doing it all by yourself. There's specific roles right around your role. And so that you're on the phone a lot and you're leading, then I would imagine a lot. I kind of have a selfish question right now. What do you do? What do you do with the projects that are kind of remote? They're kind of far out there, and then maybe they're not a cosmetic rehab. And you might have 1 or 2 more other projects or potential projects out there, but what have you done there? Because we're having a challenge getting some of our other properties that are a little bit remote to the finish line, and wonder what you have to say about that.
So I mean, yeah, that's a great example of making sure that you have reliable people on your team. Remote projects, for it to not become a headache for me, I give to somebody that I know that I don't have to be babysitting. Somebody that we have one or 2 crews that I don't even have to technically walk the property with them to get it started. They will, I tell them, hey, this is what we want. If it's, let's say we have to add in a bedroom and a bathroom because it's a 2-1 and we want to make it a 3-2, I just tell them, hey, this is the address. And I technically don't even have to go to it with them, because a lot of times their ideas are better than mine. they already know that we need layouts to be functional. We can't have funky layouts, and they already know everything that goes into them. Obviously, the material list. So that's what I always recommend, is having reliable people do those projects that can become headaches. Because if you put somebody that you're gonna have to babysit because of the distance, and yeah, we have a couple going on in the outskirts of Vegas, Pahrump, if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, that's
Laughlin.
kind of why I asked, because I know you guys do take down an occasional deal outside of like the core Las Vegas market. So naturally, you
Yeah.
have a problem too.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how I handle those. And then we probably drive out to those every other week. Also, just to keep tabs on them, you know, because even though they are reliable, you also want to make sure that the work is getting done.
Yeah, of course. Well, we got a couple more questions, and it happens to be from one of my project managers. So he's over here paying close attention. Amari, shout out to him. So he says, what expense tracker do you use?
What expense? What?
Tracker.
Yeah.
How do you track expenses? I would imagine that's kind of the question.
So everything we do, obviously, with Ryan, they have accountants. So they track everything. And I mean, I don't have an accountant, so I'll talk based on mine, or both, I guess. With mine, I just do everything how Ryan does it. I do everything on spreadsheets. If there's a payment that's made, I put it into the rehab or the property folder in the spreadsheet, the dates, whatever you're paying. So this way you're keeping track of it. There's probably other systems like Joist or other ones that you can maybe they already have a better interface or system, but I think that's the reason why Ryan still uses, or the accountants use spreadsheets, is because it's very easy for anybody to navigate, you know?
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Okay. Another question is 1099 sub versus a great sub that does not take a 1099.
That's something that we don't give people the option to. It's either you just, if you want continuous work, you're going to be 1099. If not, then we can't work with you.
Okay. So it's just like no tolerance policy. This is standard policy. That's what you.
Yeah. Because I mean, with Ryan's, I mean, even though I'm running all of Ryan's, I handle all the accounting or the payments to all the vendors. I see the big difference in doing it for a company versus mine. Me, I can pay cash whenever I'm doing my flips. I'll go hire a guy and be like, yeah, I'll pay you cash, just do the job. With Ryan, it's not like that. I can't be pooling cash every single time for one project or for various projects at once, you know? Yeah. His is like, no, it's this is the payments like system that we have in place. You submit your invoices beginning of the week and you can have a check by the end of the week, but it's very rare. And also, I mean, the accountant has, they run like, I don't know how many companies Ryan has at the moment. I think last time I knew it was like 7 or 8. So I can't be asking the accountant every time to make me a check on the spot. It's not like it's a single person in the office that can just write it out and get it done. No, it has to go through their whole system.
Yeah, and great, thank you. This is gold. What about, do you have a checklist for making the rehab process more automated?
Yes. So we do have I created, when I first came on, a project management like job description. Mm-hmm. And just like your house list, you know? So that's what I base my day off of every single day. I look at the house list to give me a guideline of, hey, where is each property at? Which ones I need to prioritize, because I can't get to every property every single day. And then I ask, his name is Blair. I asked Blair, hey, I need you to go to this house today and give me an update on this. We need to go check in on repairs, make sure that they got done so we can close.
Yeah.
So that's Yeah, I made and it's like I said, it's not going to be the same every day, but it's just a guideline. The
Yeah, yeah.
project.
Like your
Um,
hit list. I also look at we have a spreadsheet with all of our properties, and we're just like, boom. So I know what you're talking about, the house list. So you still use that house list. I know we have access.
Correct. Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
compass.
I'll get Mari that. Okay, cool. And do you use virtual assistants to help you out too on any of the rehabs?
No, no. There's I mean, I don't even know how I would be able to do that
Yeah, yeah.
on our end.
Yeah, or
Everything.
just if they're involved in all that. So I know with ours, they do help with the expense tracking for us for that.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then some of the project management, like getting in touch with vendors and subs and stuff like that, just reaching out and getting more people onto the database. So okay, cool. Does anybody else have any other questions, guys? This has been amazing to have Daniel on, kind of share all these tips and tricks about rehabbing process. I mean, I selfishly asked a couple questions, so this is your chance, guys. One last question: do you use something better than the Home Depot Pro Desk?
Oh, for material.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I'm always searching for is obviously trying to keep material costs down. So whenever I do have some free time, or if I'm driving by a certain stores, like supply stores, I'll jump in there just to see, to just be aware of what material is costing and if we can probably substitute for something cheaper. The biggest thing with managing GCs, if you don't tell them, one thing I always tell them is, hey, if it's not broken, do not fix it. We're not in the business of making homes new. We're just making them so they're move-in ready, but not with, like, for instance, popcorn ceiling. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. You don't need to take it down if you don't have the budget for it, things like that. Obviously, you do want to get to things that will be a problem once inspection comes. So always making sure that you get those things done. But yeah, I mean, I kind of rambled on that, but no, as far as the Home Depot Pro Desk, we typically use vendors that will give us special pricing since we're buying in volume. Home Depot will not do that for us.
Okay. And so can you give an example of that? Or are you just like, okay, you're buying something from a specific flooring company and you're buying a lot?
Yeah, correct. So I would say reach out to wholesale companies, like for cabinetry, for countertops, all the material, and say, hey, I can guarantee that I'm going to be buying and sending all my crews to buy from you. What type of pricing can I get for that? I mean, Home Depot does have some things that are going to be pretty competitive as far as pricing. Like sometimes even flooring, the LVT is pretty competitive compared to these other flooring suppliers.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're sourcing some materials for the rehabs in wholesale. Do you guys store those somewhere specifically? Yeah, where you guys have? I mean, because I know that's something we've toyed with. We have some storage units on some of our properties. Do we get more material and put it there? Have you done any of that?
No, and I did bring that up to Ryan when I first started, but since I was naive, I guess, I don't know what the word is, I was too new. I told him, hey, there's like vanities on sale at Lowe's. We should buy a whole bunch. He was like, no, I'm not gonna buy those. We don't have the time or the space to be storing them. And with Ryan, yeah, it doesn't make sense for a guy like him to do that because it's going to cost him time and money, having to store them in a certain place. If you're not doing too many, then yeah, it might make sense for you because you're going to be using them on the flips that you do. Yeah. But as far as like volume goes, it's we just some GCs even ask me, hey, should I buy like a whole bunch of baseboard? Because lately we've been running out of baseboard, like certain things, baseboard has been one of them. And I said, I can't tell you. I mean, you're pretty much self-employed. So if you want to buy, I will continue to give you houses, but I can't pay you to buy baseboard in bulk because I'm paying you per project. I'm not paying you in advance for other houses.
Yeah, good point. And do you guys, is there a hybrid system? What with how much you're paying? Are you paying for the materials and only getting bids for the labor, or how do you treat that? Just kind of in general.
No, I tell all the contractors, especially when they're starting out, like when we're starting the relationship, is I tell you where we're going to buy the material because I've already done the legwork of sourcing out the cheapest, and you're in charge of getting all the material. Because same thing. I mean, I can't be picking up material for every single house. I need a freaking trailer to do all that, and I don't even have that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're in charge of always picking up the material.
So you're at the beginning of the project or somewhere around that time, you're giving them like a list of like, hey, this is where we're gonna buy flooring, this is where we're gonna buy windows, this is where we're gonna buy everything. Is that the case?
Correct. Yes, in the contractor's guide, we put in there all the vendors, the suppliers, and we typically have accounts set up. So I'll go in and talk to management and say, hey, anybody that comes in and talks about or references our company, please give them our pricing. So
Okay, awesome, man. This is gold, bro. You guys have any last questions for Daniel? I know he's a busy guy. Remember, he's managing 45 rehabs and 7 of his own. And I mean, this is over 50 projects that this man is managing. So he definitely has some fires to put out that probably came up while we've been on this call.
yeah. I mean, my phone's ringing 24/7.
Me too, brother. Me too. I know the feeling. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get back to too right now. All right, guys. Well, this was I think a little bit different because we didn't have our co-host Will, but I think we still did a good job of providing some value, answering some questions. I've sure learned a lot. I look forward to hanging with you in Vegas in the future again. And I just again, kudos to you and keep up the great work. Say hi to the team out there. It was great to have you on. I think you provided so much value. So keep rocking, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
See ya. Let's go.